Alright, all you pre and post midnight riders out there, welcome back to Under the Radar. And this week's Stunt of the Week comes from none other than not only Mikra 169 with her stunt bum, but also the maestro's pick of Vince Vance with his stunt head-on collision. And the reason why in the world we picked the stunt of bum, well, let's just say that we forgot that during the footage while she hit that pole, the jets were still going on and it flipped her upside down for her to almost break her arm in between her bike and the pole as well. So, ouch, ouch. And the reason why the maestro picked the other stunt is because he believes the person, just like I did, is Eric Draven from The Crow. And hopefully with this stunt being picked for the stunt of the week, it leads to yet another Crow-like movie that doesn't get caught up in production for the next 4 to 5 years. Yeah, I hope so too. But besides movie stunts, folks, that may lead to movies as well, I think it's time for us to get ready to rev our engines for another edition of the GTA Online Top 5 Tracks of the Week. And the first track that we have up comes from the creator, Pt.2 with his said track, Two-Way Slam Jets. And if any of you out there remembers that classic stunt race of the two-way race where you would race and play chicken with your opponents on those open roads, this one takes it to a whole nother level. Because not only it involves you in scram jets trying to race against each other on the ground, but you also race against each other on the walls as well, trying to avoid each other from hitting each other head on. And the only tip of advice we have for you guys out there for this said track is to make sure you jump on the edge of each wall to end the wall ride. That's it. The only tip of advice we have for you, well, that and avoid hitting cars like if you're a speed racer. Yeah, the only other tip we have for you for this said race. Dodge the racers while trying to race on the walls and just hit L3 to actually jump off the walls when you want to end the wall ride. Yeah, and if you don't, chances are you might lose this race. You know, just a warning. And the next track that we have up, and oh, for the first time ever, folks, the first vehicle death match that we have up comes from the creator, Pt.2 with his said track, VDM Apocalypse. And besides having a cool name with a whole bunch of cool Rams with a whole bunch of things in the background on fire while you try to race through this track to try to take out your opponents, the only tip of advice we have for you fans out there, and I think this is a first for us, actually mentioning a vehicle death match with tips, and that's this. When you eliminate your opponent, watch out for drones, rockets, machine guns, missiles, and everything else they try to shoot at you on and off the field while you take on your opponents. And as another tip of advice, make sure you use custom cars for this said race, so you can have a leg up against your opponent or not have a disadvantage against your opponent when you're racing on these said tracks. And the next track that we have up comes from the creator, Pt.227, with his said track, Let's Make Some Dents. And for those who are wondering why in the world we said the haha, it's a homage to Jeff Jarrett, but besides that, folks, this track is one of those games of playing chicken on an open runway, and the only tip of advice that we have for you fans out there, besides using the sports and supercars they have listed during the said track, is to make sure you watch your front and back at all times during this said race, especially if you decide to go airborne, because if you don't, there's a high possibility you can find a missile hitting you right in the back or the front during this said race. So yeah, make sure you have eyes all around you like a vampire with 360 degrees of vision. And the only reason I know about that is because of my sister. So thanks, sis. Helping me keep people alive one vampire mythology at a time. And besides vampires and racing on the runway, folks, the next track that we have up comes from the creator Vasconi, nice name by the way, with his said track, Burning Wishes. And this track, besides being on fire and probably one of the craziest sidewinding wall riding races you'll experience this month, yeah, there's no other words to describe it. And the only tip of advice we have for you guys out there for this said race that allows you to use supercars is to make sure you use the Osiris. And damaged cars will not perform perfectly while doing said stunts. So make sure your car is in pristine order like James Bond would tell you, and make sure you use an Osiris. Because if you don't, there's a high possibility you will not be able to do this race successfully, and it will cost you in the end. And the last but not least track that we have up for this week that turns out to be a little bit of a death match comes from the creator XX Ep.227. Wow, it's been a while since we heard from this guy with his said deathmatch, WWE SmackDown Catch. And the reason why we picked this track for this week, folks, is because it's unbelievable for one, because this guy decided to create an arena inside of one of the hangars of the Los Santos International Airport. And the fact that it's a bring your own weapons, small quarters, 2 to 8 player type environment of a death match that you'll have with your friends, the only tip of advice we have for you out there is make sure you have plenty of armor and snacks, because this place has none of that. It's a bring your own weapon and protection to the fight sort of deal here. So make sure you bring your own stuff to this fight, because if you don't and your opponent does, it will cost you during this match. And with that said, folks, wraps it up for yet another edition of the GTA Online Top 5 Tracks of the Week. And with that said, folks, we might as well head back into this music, and we'll be back with more under the radar madness that you can shake a Geiger counter at right after this. So don't get lost in the madness just yet, folks, and stay tuned.